So it's the next morning, and Joe brings Marianne her food and drink, just like he promised last night. So he gets there, Marianne's grateful. She's like, oh, thank you so much for this coffee and whatever food he gave her. So she takes a sip of the coffee and is entering anaphylactic shock.
Right,
and
she's like, what did you do? And he's like, what do you mean? You don't have any allergies?
She just has this allergy that he didn't know anything about, and it was eerily similar to how Benji died in the first season. So I think he was just reliving some of his past murders.
Yeah.
And so he's freaking out, doesn't know what to do. He can't guess the code for the door to get into the glass cage.
Yeah, he keeps punching in the numbers, and he has a number sequence in his head that he thinks it is, and it's not working. She's in a panic at this point, and he is too.
Yeah, so she's like convulsing on the ground, and he can't get in there. And he's like, what's the code? What's the code? I don't know what's going on.
And isn't that when Reese shows up?
Yeah, well, Reese is always with him, you know.
Okay, yeah.
But he's like, just let her die. It's for the better of both of us.
It's gonna work out for both of us.
And so he's still freaking out, doesn't know what to do, and then all of a sudden it jumps to a scene with Beck from the first season, his first love. I guess Candace would be considered his first love.
Yeah,
but this is the from season 1, like when we first started out.
And this was so cool. It's like bringing all the old ones back was so much fun.
Yeah.
So she's there.
Yes, so it's basically like all these rows of women watching Beck read out of her biography.
Yeah, it felt almost like a funeral, sort of, because he's walking up and then you see it's her behind sitting in a chair.
And all these women are faceless, and you just see their hair.
Yeah, it's just kind of like edges of them. You don't ever see their faces, and he's walking up real slow in this dreamy, weird, smoky thing. Yeah. And then she starts talking to him and saying,
well, she's reading out of her biography, which is called something.
Yeah, but isn't it? He actually took credit for it.
No,
is that the other book?
He finished it for her.
He finished it for her. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was already. I don't know if she was in the process of writing this biography or if he just wrote the whole thing in her style. So he finished out her book called The Dark Face of Love, I believe. And so she's reading out of it, and then she's like, oh, Joe, like, what are you doing here? Or I didn't expect you to be here. Yeah.
And then starts attacking him, basically.
Yeah, and then he's like, what's going on? I don't understand what's going on. And she's like, you have to deal with your shit, basically.
Yeah.
And so it then flips the script again, and it's Gemma. I don't know if Gemma is before Beck or after Beck, but then it's Gemma, and she is in his kitchen, sitting on his kitchen table, and is like, yeah, remember me? I know we didn't really know each other, but, you know, it wasn't nice what you did. And he's like, I'm sorry, I wasn't conscious of my actions, blah, blah, blah.
And she's like, that's not good enough.
Because, so he's asking all of them for the key. He's asking all of these different women for the key and being like,
that's his motivation to talk to them.
Like, give me the key to let Marianne out. And they're all giving him these weird riddles and trying to get him to think into himself.
Right, and that's the thing. He's like, look, we don't have time for this. She's dying. Give me the key. Yeah. And then, so he's just really frustrated the entire time. And I think he's sort of missing the point.
Completely.
He's only doing this so he can get the key.
And it flips to Love, and she's in the cage, but it's went back in the past whenever he used it as a private library.
Right, she's sitting in a chair, she has a book, looks very relaxed.
Yes, and she's like, hi, Joe. And he's like, oh,
no, but hey, finally, okay, what we saw in that trailer for second season, or second half of the season.
I guessed it, though.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're going to bring, it's going to be some kind of flashback, but it's so good to see her because...
Oh, I miss her.
She was so awesomely fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both so sick that it's like, who's going to be sicker? Well, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, she's there. She's like, hi, Joe. And she's basically like, long story short, she's like, there's only one way out of this where the world will become a better place. And it's if you... and he's like, I mean, I guess, you know, I don't remember if he agrees with her or if he's just like, give me the key.
Well, anyone who watched the show would agree with that because he is a nut.
And he's got problems. So all of this is just his consciousness telling him he needs to deal with the fact that he's a serial killer. And I think that's why this whole part of him came out into his alter ego, was because he couldn't accept that he was in fact a serial killer, and he had to make up this alter ego
Yeah, he can't deal with who he is.
To deal with it.
And that's what I love about this, is that you look at him differently now. Like I said, you kind of run back through what happened in the last the 7 episodes or 8 episodes before this, and it's like now we understand why some of this is happening, because he didn't even know he was doing it, and it all starts to make sense, and those puzzle pieces are being put together in this episode.
Yeah. So then he never gets the key, and then he wakes up on his couch, and Reese is like, "Oh, did you have a nightmare?" or something like that.
Hello, mate.
And
was it good?
So none of that was real. I mean, obviously the love and the Beck and the Gemma part wasn't real, but even the Marianne dying part wasn't real. So that was like, okay, good, she's alive.
Right, because really I'm thinking, oh man, she's dead? What's his motivation now? But yeah, it was just a bad dream, a nightmarish dream for him to see her die like that.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up, and then of course Reese is right there, and I just love it because he's like, can't get rid of this guy.
Yeah. So then he wakes up and he's like, okay, good, it was just a dream. And then he ends up finding her, and she apparently overdosed on. Earlier, Joe goes to visit Marianne. She wants him to check her phone to see if she's missed any texts or anything. And whenever he checks her phone, he sees all of these missed messages from the friend that her daughter's staying with, and it's like, she's going back to America. You've lost custody. She's living with her grandmother from now on. I'm so disappointed in you. I can't believe you relapsed, all this stuff. So then Marianne is freaking out, and that is what it's like the chain of events that causes her to commit suicide with all those pills.
Right.
So he gave her pain medication as his alter ego that didn't know that she had a drug abuse problem.
Yeah, she was on opioids, I think.
Yeah. Well, she was on everything.
Yeah. That was just one of them.
Yeah, but he left those in there with her, and so she takes all of them, and then she overdoses, and he gets in there and like checks her pulse. She's dead. So then he's like, well, what do I do now? And Reese is like, oh, just chop her up in little pieces, and to do the same thing you did with Malcolm. And he's like,
no. Yeah.
But then she wrote him a note. Oh, also, whenever Joe visited the first time, he gave her pen and paper and to like pass the time. Yeah. Which that's when you knew Joe was back, was he gave her something to do.
And also he did she in that note she did, okay, I'm dead, but I want my daughter to know that I'm dead.
Make sure someone finds me.
Right. And so make sure someone finds me so that my daughter doesn't spend the rest of her life wondering, did mom just run away? Does she not love me? Whatever it is. And I 100% agree that is the way to do it. You've got to let your kids know. I mean, and that's only fair for him to do that.
Yeah. So then he goes to a park and leaves her on a bench, and then just leaves. And he still has the same plan of, I'm going to leave the country. No, he wants to kill himself.
Yeah.
So he has the plan that he is just going to get the gun out of the freezer that he took from Vic and shoot himself. So the morning after the wedding, Kate is walking out of her apartment and is on the phone with the hospital, wondering what happened or where Phoebe is, and like just like where she is, what they're doing. Like she wants to know all the stuff that they're doing.
And she's pretty pissed because everyone who's saw her going crazy just sent out social media.
So she was walking around the streets in public, and everyone was just like taking pictures of her and videos.
Nobody called police or whatever to help her. And then when Kate walks out, her dad's right there.
Yeah, her dad's waiting for her with a coffee.
And she's like, oh my gosh. She said, and then, is that about Phoebe? He knows everything. I mean, somehow he knows
like
everything.
He doesn't, though. He's like, what happened? I don't know. Like, he acts so clueless, but he's the one behind like everything.
He knows what's going on. Yeah. And then so she, they have a little talk. And then, we find out she's that Phoebe is in a hospital, and is being watched. And where is Adam, her husband of one day? Oh, well, he's not with her in the hospital. He's doing something else.
Well, yeah, so he basically is just, got the best deal that anyone could ever get in terms of, not having to take care of your partner and then receiving all of their money.
Yeah, you got all the benefits without any of the liabilities.
Exactly. So,
and now I can't even believe he wouldn't go for it.
So while Kate is telling her dad this, he is like, you don't think he's going to do anything about it. You think he's just listening to her and just being like a good listener and like validating her feelings about it. Then cut to Adam.
In a bed. He is surrounded by sex workers and... tied down.
First, if it's just one girl and she's just tying his...
arms and legs down.
Arms and legs to the banisters of the...
bed frame. Yeah.
And then she invites two more guys in.
Come on in, guys.
And he's like, oh, like, what are we going to do?
Safe word. I forget what his safe word is.
I don't remember. It was funny, though.
But he's like, that's the safe word.
Yeah. So they come in and then they're acting really aggressive and saying things like, oh, you think money's going to save you? This money isn't going to save you.
Because when he realizes it's not a game, this is for real, he says, I'll double it. I'll pay even more. He said, it's not about the money.
Yeah.
And then...
we don't see what happens, but we hear his screaming and he's dead. And then the news spreads that he died from, he was just found dead.
Yeah, I don't think they say
specifically. I don't think they say anything. Like he was just found dead.
Then it's like, okay, so Adam's dead.
And then Phoebe...
what a scumbag.
Phoebe doesn't know anything, I don't think.
She has no idea. She's hospitalized.
Ward.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Kate visiting her dad at his like aviation
it's a hangar. He's got a P-51 Mustang in there. He's got like the Texan trainer.
I don't know if Kate said it or if Joe said it, but it was like, what is it about rich men wanting to fly planes or something?
And that's a cut on Tom Cruise and Harrison Ford. They both have airplanes and helicopters and stuff like that. But I think that airplane in there, the P-51 Mustang, is actually, even though I didn't look it up, I may figure out later, is Tom Cruise. That's Tom Cruise. There's not many P-51 Mustangs owned by individuals. And I think that's Tom Cruise's P-51 back there. But anyway, of course, I'm a big airplane fan. And yes, I would like to fly. I'm not rich, but we did take a flying lesson, though.
Yeah, we did.
Long time ago. But that was cool, and he's sitting there tinkering around, which was pretty cool. But yeah, she goes to him and says,
anyway,
I want to say with Dad, what did you do?
Yeah, I didn't know if you're getting to the point.
Yeah. Sorry, went off on the airplane thing.
You can go though. You know what happens.
Yeah. So she gets in there, and he says, "What happened with Adam?" He said, "What? You wanted me to take care of it, didn't you?" And she's like, "What do you mean?"
He's like, oh yeah, Adam's dead. Did you know that? And she's already like accusatory towards him.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, wow, what a coincidence that I talked to you the day he dies. I talked to you like 8 hours before he dies. How is that possible? I know you did something. Tell me what you did. And he's like, I took care of it. And she's like, what do you mean you took care of it? He's like, I took care of it. You asked me to take care of it, so I took care of it. And she's like, I didn't ask you to kill him. I didn't ask you to do anything. And he was like, oh, well, you insinuated that you wanted that done. And she's like,
how often do daughters ask their dads to kill people?
Yeah.
I don't believe you've ever done that.
No.
Nope, pretty sure. But that's... And
when you're that powerful, though, you're literally untouchable.
He just snaps his fingers and bam.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's just in shock here. And then again, realizing what her dad is all about.
Yeah. So
to just
again,
on a whim, do that.
Yes. And then again, he brings up the museum that he wants her to take care of in New York, and she's like, "I'm not going to do that. Why are you so controlling? Like, I want to be independent. I want to be my own person." And he's like, and he like, so he's telling her all this stuff about how internships.
Yeah. So he said, "I did all this," and he starts throwing out all these names of all these people that, and she's like, how would you, what?
Well, no, she's just I don't think she says anything.
Yeah, she's in shock.
She doesn't know what to say.
Right, and I know it, she's got to be in shock to find out that basically he's telling her that you had nothing you did got you to where you are. I did everything.
Yeah. And so to summarize all of that, basically he's saying he owns her.
Yeah. I own you, and you're going to do you're going to come back to the States, you're going to run this thing, and that's the final thing.
And then he also, it's so weird with the manipulation here, because he also is like, you're my favorite. You've always been my favorite. And she's like, what about, like, why can't you do this to your other kids?
Right. I guess there's others, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, you're my favorite. I always would choose you. You have the most ambition, blah, blah, blah. And she's just so, like, speechless and doesn't know how to even...
Right. So essentially he's like in Wizard of Oz, he's behind the curtain on everything.
Yeah.
You know, she's finally pulled that curtain over, and it's like, it's Dad. Mm-hmm. What?
Yep.
And what a shocker. I can't imagine being told that you didn't do anything.
He also referred to her as an investment to her face.
It's not, I don't love you, you're an investment.
You're my biggest investment.
Did he ever say that he loved her in the whole thing? Does he ever say it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he does. It's like he wants her to take over the business. He knows she can handle it, but I guarantee you, even if she took over, he'd be right here.
Oh, yeah. No, controlling the puppet strings.
Boop, 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 the whole time.
Yeah, so that's about it for episode 9.
Episode 9. Oh, my goodness, episode 10.
And so we're going to get into episode 10 after this.
Take care. See you guys in a second.